Hey everybody, Joe Rignola here, and this is our first ever Q&A Friday where, every Friday I'm going to answer some questions from you. So if you have questions, you can do a couple of things. You can leave a video response with your question, or you can find us on Facebook, facebook.com/wellnesspunks, and leave us a message or a comment there. And we'll pull some questions each week and answer them, and hopefully get the video posted by Friday. Otherwise, it'll be called Q&A Saturday or Monday or whatever the case may be. GTs, baby, kombucha. By the way, yes, I'm in the car, in the punkmobile, as it were, because I don't really have all that much time to just sit around making videos all day. I wish I did. So this is what you get. Don't try this. These maneuvers, please, on your own. I am a trained professional. First question is from Miranda. And Miranda has severe gluten sensitivity. She says a few times a year she will get an accidental ingestion of gluten. And she says the longer she stays away from the stuff, the more sensitive she seems to get, and the longer the effects seem to last. And so she's wondering what she can do in those situations to help heal faster. And someone named Heather asked basically the same question. Heather Beckman, I don't recognize. She sounds like a stalker or something. I think there's something wrong with that girl. No, I'm kidding. Heather's a friend of mine. So Heather says if my food so much as looks at gluten, she gets flu-like symptoms. So what's going on here? There's a couple of things going on. Let me explain this first, and then I'll give you some advice on things that you can do to help heal a little bit faster. If you go back and look at my video, Gluten and Autoimmune, I explain this stuff a little bit more detail, but basically you've got, those finger-like projections on the inside of your small intestine. It's like shag carpeting. There's also a lot of nerves in the gut. There's a matter of fact, there's so many nerves in the gut that it's often referred to as the second brain. So just keep that in the back of your head as I explain what's going on here. So one of the things that happens is that your immune system is ramping up. Now, if you've got gluten sensitivity or celiac disease, you have to understand that this is a process that's been going on for years, in some cases 5, 10, 20 years or more. And during that process, your immune system is ramping up and multiplying over that time frame. And the longer that you're exposed to gluten, or any antigen for that matter, but the longer you're exposed to gluten, the more potent the immune response, and the more powerful, and the larger your the army of immune cells gets. And it's a gradual process. At the same time, that inflammatory immune response is attacking those villi and wearing them down and reducing the surface area. And that's a gradual process. And that goes on for years and years and years and years until you've got eventually total villus atrophy, which means it's completely flat. Those villi are completely gone, and the surface area is gone. Well, lo and behold, one day you decide that gluten is your problem, you take it out of your diet, and of course those villi begin to heal and grow back, and the immune system calms down. Now, it's also important to realize that those immune cells, they don't actually go away, they just kind of go to sleep. They go dormant for a while. So when you get an accidental ingestion of gluten, or on purpose for whatever reason, you're going to get hit with this tremendous immune response all at once. It's not a gradual process. At the same time, because you've been off gluten for, who knows, 6 months, 8 months, a year, all those villi grew back and all that surface area grew back. When they grow back, you increase your ability to absorb nutrients, but you also increase your body's ability to feel pain when that surface area is attacked. So does that make sense? So instead of this gradual process of the villi being attacked and blunted, and a gradual process of the immune system ramping up, it's all a tremendously potent immediate effect, and so you feel like you've gotten more sensitive to gluten. In reality, you're just as sensitive as you always were, but the fact that your body's healed and the fact that your immune system is 100% ramped up, and you get attacked with that all at once, it feels like you've been hit with a truck. So does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. So what can you do to sort of help facilitate healing in the event of an accidental gluten ingestion? I always keep some bone broth on hand, so I'll make bone broth a couple of times a month, and then I'll freeze some, and that's probably one of the more effective things that you can do to help heal the gut a little bit quicker and reduce inflammation. I'll throw a little bit of turmeric in that. If I'm just drinking bone broth throughout the day, I'll throw like a teaspoon or so of turmeric in there. It's a very powerful anti-inflammatory. Make sure your vitamin D status is good. Vitamin D helps support T regulatory cells, which is another part of the immune system. The regulatory cells help calm down the immune system once the antigen is sort of neutralized. So make sure vitamin D status is good. You can do some herbs that support the mucosal barrier. Things like licorice root or slippery elm sort of help soothe the mucosal barrier, so that'll help too. I think the bone broth is probably the most effective thing that you can do. A good broth, and with I like the idea of putting some turmeric in there. I hope that helps. Let me know, and that's that. Next question comes from my buddy Jonathan Martin. Check out Jonathan Martin at healthymojo.com. He's got some really good content there, some really awesome recipes. So Jonathan wants to know what I think of Einkorn Wheat. Now, my initial knee-jerk reaction to that was, Einkorn still has gluten, fool! I didn't think that at all, Jonathan. It's interesting. It's actually a really good question. So the interesting thing about Einkorn Wheat, it's the original wheat plant, basically. It's actually one of the original founding crops, agricultural crops from the Fertile Crescent, 10,000 years ago or so. So Einkorn, being the ancient grain that it is, has significantly less gluten because it hasn't been, sort of bastardized the way modern wheat has. Also interesting, there was a study that came out in 2006, I think, in the Scandinavian Journal of Gastroenterology, don't ask me how I remember that suggests that the gliadin protein in the einkorn is actually less toxic than what you find in modern wheat. So, I say that all to say that if you're on the lower end of the spectrum, so you could think of like gluten sensitivity as this sort of spectrum where on the low end, you may not have any real noticeable results. You may have several minutes of intestinal permeability with no real obvious symptoms from that. And of course, on the other end, you've got full-blown celiac, total villus atrophy, tremendous inflammation. If you even smell a pizza, you're in the bathroom for a week, and it's incredibly debilitating. So if you're on sort of the lower end of that, you would probably do okay consuming a little einkorn every now and then. I'll also say, and this will go into the next question a little bit, assuming that you properly prepare the grain. The next question is from Anna, and she was asking what I think about sprouted grains, and my answer simply is, if you're going to eat grains, then they should be sprouted, they should be properly prepared, and that's going to go for einkorn too. And actually, if you were to like hold a gun to my head and say, you've got to eat this, you've got a choice. You can either eat, the traditional gluten-free bread, which is typically, highly processed, made from rice flour and has absolutely no nutritional value whatsoever, or you can eat this piece of bread made from sprouted, maybe even fermented einkorn, sourdough bread type of deal. I'd actually probably go for the sourdough einkorn bread. I'll also say that there's really no nutritional need for it, but if it's something you just want to, check out every now and then, and you're on the low end of that gluten sensitivity spectrum, yeah, you'll probably be fine. On the other hand, if you're on the higher end of that spectrum with more severe gluten sensitivity or celiac disease, then einkorn wheat is most definitely not going to work for you at all. So don't even try it. Okay, and the last question I have is from Lynn, and Lynn says she's referring to my book. She says a few recipes in your book call for nut flour. What about people with nut allergies? Or almond flour? What about people with nut allergies? And I really like coconut flour if you're going to make some sort of baked goodness or like pancakes. I have a recipe in there for coconut pancakes, which is amazing. So you can use coconut flour, although it doesn't quite have that fluffiness that the almond flour has for if you're going for grain-free stuff. A lot of times I'll use both almond flour and coconut flour in recipes, and it gives it a really nice texture. But if you got nut allergies, then obviously almond flour is going to be out, and I would just go with some coconut flour. So that's it. I think that's all the questions for today. If you have questions, find us on Facebook, facebook.com/wellnesspunks.
Good afternoon, welcome to Starbucks. How can I help you?
Hi, I need a tall Americano in a grande cup, please.
Sure.
And fill the rest with whipped cream.
Oh, yeah, we can do that.
It is really good, yeah. And then dump like a whole bunch of cinnamon on top.
Okay, definitely.
Thanks.
Anything else?
That's it. Yeah. Hi, how are you?
Oh my gosh, I need this.
Here, take it.
Oh my god. Do you have a card?
I do, yeah.
Yeah, look. I just said, they're like, let's run on Tuesday. I'm like, I'll run next year on Tuesday.
And you know what? I'm going to pay for the person behind me just because.
You're going to what?
I'll pay for the person behind me just because.
Oh, good.
Got to inject some good juju in the world, you know?
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Did you get your drink?
Yes,
Okay.
I got it. Thanks.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Got to inject good juju in the world. So, what did you do today to inject some good juju, some good feelings, to make someone smile today? Let me know. Leave me a comment. Yeah. See ya.